Discipline and consistency matter. Being smart is not the key. Being good at following rules, doing the same things, and checking and checking and checking over and over again to make sure your system is intact is the only way you're going to earn money doing this, right? It's not about intelligence quotient. It's about setting and implementing the right rules that you are going to follow, making sure you have a system that keeps you in check so that you do follow them, and most importantly, a system that helps you evaluate whether or not those rules are helpful after all. Some people may think they have good risk management and they're following a great discipline, but really that system itself is killing your profits because it doesn't make sense with your lifestyle. So for example, if you don't have time to day trade and you built your whole system of how I trade and how I manage money around day trading, yet you don't have the time to day trade, you don't have the capability to day trade, you're not very good at day trading, those rules are going to only hurt you even more. So the goal here is to know ourselves well enough to know how to create and implement a plan that actually makes sense based on the time you have in your life and your capability and skill set to execute, right? Life is all about execution. You can plan all you want, but if you don't ever execute, the plan isn't worth anything at all. It's worth nothing, nada. Best foot forward is taking the education seriously and having someone help you build out a plan that actually makes sense for your life. If it doesn't, it's not going to work. And as I outlined to you, that discipline and consistency is probably the most important predictor of profits for any trader that I've ever met, at least. Those with the consistency and discipline to build a set of rules that they are willing to follow and then continuing to follow them is going to be the most successful, wealthiest guy that you're ever going to meet. It may seem boring, it may seem tedious, but at the end of the day, it works, it works, it works. And I know nobody's here to feel good about what they're doing. They're here to make money because that feels good, right? So as long as your focus is on the end goal, right? You need the ends to justify the means. You have to. Now, those ends might not come in week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yada, yada, yada. I think within the inside of 90 days, you can have a very good grasp of this. However, you need to walk into it with that mindset and understanding that the plan has to make sense and the ability to execute is going to define how successful that plan is. You can't build the execution first. You build the plan first, right? The execution is more so a test, I would say. How much am I willing to commit to this? How much am I willing to stick to this, right? How many people, raise a show of hands, have said, I'm going to finally get in shape. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do it. You go for a week and then you never go back. And then you sit there with the misery of knowing you haven't accomplished the thing you want to accomplish. You want to feel different about yourself. You want to look different. You want to appear different. You want to be different. Yet here you are doing the same shit over and over again and wondering why the result hasn't changed. If you want to be different, you have to do differently. So if the plan isn't working now, it's time to reevaluate the plan. But first, I would argue that you should look at execution. Maybe I'm just quite simply not executing on the plan that I set in motion. That's it. What if it's just the execution is off just by a hair? And instead of following the scalping strategy, I should be doing a little bit of a slower day trade approach. When I break critical momentum levels, I should just be trading that breakout from here to here versus trying to scalp every little inch along the way. It could be as simple as that, whereas the plan doesn't necessarily need to change. It's just your execution and implementation of it does. My goal here is to shift everyone's thinking from I'm poor and I'm broke and I'm desperate, which is how most people come in here. It's not casting a judgment, it's just the truth. Instead of feeling like I need this, you shift that thinking into this is what I will accomplish and here's how. Because this is something that could be done by anyone. There is no more exclusivity around, like retail brokerages made this possible. They made this possible so that companies like us could exist, right? To train you from step 1 to step 10, where you are thriving and trading on your own independently and making a killing, right? So how does that work? Well, it starts honestly with acceptance over the fact that what I've done up until this point is not effective. It doesn't suit my life. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't bring me joy. It doesn't make me money. If you're miserable and losing money, why would you continue to do that? You wouldn't, right? So our goal is to figure out, okay, what have we done that has not worked? What am I doing that I do not like? And what is there left to do for me now, here, now? What can I do that will actually make sense, that will change the way I do this exercise of trading, that will change the way I live my life, that will change the perspective I have on money and wealth in general? Because if your perspective is, that money is difficult to obtain, that money is unobtainable, you've already started this off with the loss. Money is easily obtained. It is all a game. Just like you log into a video game and start playing, this is no different. Capitalist economy is no different. If you have the internet and you have access and a willingness to learn, you have an opportunity to make a stupid amount of money. I wouldn't go as far as to say print your own money, but damn well close. Some of the passive option stuff we do is just like beyond me. Some stuff that Bull puts out, we do with the lifetime member. Like it's unbelievable how easy it is to just take home 30%, 30%, 30%, 30% over and over. I mean, if you're starting out with 10, 15 grand, that's $3,000, mind you. Imagine if you're able to capture that a week. If you start out with $1,000 account and you capture 3% a week for, I believe it's 5 years, you have $1 million. Take a second with that. When you're telling yourself that lie that 2% isn't enough, think about how counterintuitive this is, right? To go back to why consistency, discipline, and mindset matters. You're telling yourself that 2% is not enough to make this worth it, but you're willing to lose 8% on a gamble. If we go back in time and I offer you that same 2% profit in exchange for that 8% loss, are you going to take it? Hell yeah, you're going to take it. Why? Because making money always beats losing money. However, losing money comes with its own set of rewards and challenges, right? Less capital in your account makes it a lot more difficult to trade and compound that wealth. However, the lessons that you can obtain from those losses can take you and carry you a long way towards success and profitability. If you can leave the loss, but carry with you the lesson from the loss, if that makes sense. It's the same thing I teach my kids in Pop Warner, right? You leave the loss, you carry with you the lesson from the loss. And I think that's one of the first steps to becoming good at this. From the nearly 10,000 traders that have gone through our program, right, that we help on a daily basis, I would say that the most successful ones do that almost immediately. Yeah, I lost. That sucked. Here's what I learned. I'm not going to do it again. That sucked. They don't beat the hell out of themselves. They carry with them the lesson from the loss, and that's it. So again, consistency and discipline is everything, and that is across the board. In how you trade, how you don't trade, right? It's more sometimes about what you don't do than what you do. The lack of engaging in extremely high-risk compulsive gambling behaviors is going to be incredibly positive for your portfolio overall. So if you're doing that, maybe it's just a matter of disengaging from those things first rather than it is doing certain things differently. If you're doing these YOLO gambles every week and you're losing, 5% of your portfolio over and over and over again, you are making it increasingly more difficult to actually grow the thing to where you want it to be, to have the life that you actually want. So if you sat down right now and you said, hey, this is how much I want to make a month. I want to be achieving that goal in less than 1 year. And here's what I'm going to do with that money. Here's how it's going to change my life. If you wrote down those 3 things and really chose to believe that it's possible, you will be successful. Because then once you have those things, here's what you're going to do. You're going to ensure that every single piece to that puzzle actually feeds to the result. That every little trade you take, every bit of analysis you do, everything you put your money into is going to feed to that result. Everything will feed to that result, but it has to feed to that result. And if you want to accomplish that, you need to start documenting your process. So I think that's like one of the first things that really I think everyone needs to just get on board with, because without that stuff, without that consistency, without that discipline, without that understanding, without that truth, nothing's going to ever change. You're never going to achieve that result. You're never going to actually get to where you want to be. And all I care about is that you guys get to where you want to be. That's it, and that's all. That's the only thing that matters to me, is that you get from point A to point B. Point B being that dream state of living that you're in, where you have this passive income rolling in, or you get up and you trade for 2 hours, you make $500, and then you go about your day. That's what I want for you, and that's what we're going to try to help you get. But it starts with that honest admission, which is not the easy part, but it is so simple. It may not be easy, but it is incredibly simple.